This is the Artist Entrepreneur Podcast. We are your hosts, Amanda Ritchie, Noah Dock, and me, Kerry Wee. We're three artists brought together by the love of circus and dance. Amanda from the world of Cirque du Soleil as an aerial soloist. Noah, our academic, and me from the commercial dance world. This is one of the greatest jobs in the world, but it comes with uncertainty. Each episode contains insight on how to pursue art-based businesses. We'll have a variety of guests and have lively weekly Discord. Tune in every week to hear our perspectives on the minefield that is the artist's way of life. Okay, so listeners, Kristin is an old friend of mine. I call her Queen Bee because she's the she's the Queen Bee. Okay, I want to start with the first story that I have of you, and I told you this a long time ago, but I don't know if you remember.
Okay.
So before I moved to LA, I was obsessed because there was the VMAs, and it was the one where Britney Spears did her I remember Allison Falk was in it, and it was like a school classroom, and everybody's wearing white turtlenecks and really shiny pants. Anyways, It was that one. TLC was in it. You were dancing for the Backstreet Boys at the time. Everybody. 1999, and that was when I feel like pop was shining. It was like, here we are, right?
Oh, 100%. It was so exciting just to be a dancer in any of those performances, because then backstage you saw everybody. So it was just really exciting because pop music needed and used so many dancers. So it was always so exciting to be a part of any of those award shows. Yeah.
Yeah. And back in the day, yes, there was a lot of dancers in each show, but it wasn't like today where there's 100 dancers in a, for Super Bowl for Rihanna. You can't tell who those dancers are.
The random close up, as the camera's panning by. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You're dressed as a marshmallow. You know what I'm saying? and then, and then, it's still cool. Don't get me wrong. It's still cool. You're dressed as a marshmallow on your, a plexiglass, stage that's floating 100 feet into the air. It's still cool, but you couldn't tell who it was. Right.
True that.
And so 1999 was the year that I made the decision to move to LA. I moved actually in the year of 2000, in the next year. But I saw this redhead dancing front and center for Backstreet Boys. And I don't know what about you. I was like, that girl, I want to be like that girl.
Aww,
I told you this a long time ago, but it was probably 20 years ago. So I remember what I thought. And so I went through the whole process of moving there. And I don't know how many months in, or maybe a year in, I was already dancing for some of these pop, Asian, Vietnamese companies. Mm-hmm. My friend Eni, I don't know if you remember Eni, but she's now living in Vietnam and she's living her best life over there. But nice. I was dancing for her. And then Kristin was hired as the choreographer for Asia.
That was in 2005 is when I started with them.
Okay, so that must be when I started working for you, because I was already on the gig and then we kind of got grandfathered in somehow. But I was like, this is the chick. this is the girl that I was looking at all those years, and then we became very close friends. And I feel like that's what happens in LA, at least in our day when the industry was smaller. It's if you looked up to any dancers, you ended up working alongside them anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it is there are a lot of dancers, but yet there's a smaller group of regular working dancers. And everyone ends up interacting with each other at some time or another. Yeah.
Yeah. And you end up meeting your heroes. And actually, in my case, most of my heroes didn't disappoint me, luckily. I know that happens sometimes. But, even I know that you worked for them a lot, the brothers.
Rich and Tone.
Rich and Tone, yeah. Yeah, they are... they work with Michael Jackson. They were behind
the movie that just came out about Michael. Yep.
Absolutely.
And I worked with them they also danced next to me for the Backstreet Boys. And we were as dancers on a bunch of different things. And then as they came up and started choreographing more, then I was working with them a lot when I was dancing for Jennifer Lopez. They hired me for that, and Chris Brown and different stuff. Different singers. Yeah.
That video that you guys made with J-Lo, that was another one of those pieces where you could really see the dancers. I mean, I'm telling you, there are some pieces where you can really see the dancers, and it shines in a way that I mean, even Lady Gaga is the most recent. You can see Brian Friedman, like, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I am wondering, though, because we are a little bit removed and we're not in the everyday dancer world.
Yeah.
I wonder if we would recognize more people just if they were our friends who were next to us all the time.
I mean, maybe, but I just feel like so many of these pieces of like choreography on film, like I'm watching it and I'm like, a lot of them is dance companies.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're not necessarily like those individuals, because I have a couple of students who are still working, and I have trouble picking them out. There's a lot of dancers and a lot of costuming. I mean, you and I went to go see Katy Perry once, and you know, they're dressed as like huge lips. They're not like humans.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and a lot of choreography and the filming of choreography these days is so fast. It's being thrown at us at such a fast pace that I have to admit, a lot of times it just feels like noise after a while. And then the things that I happen to respond to are the things that take a beat and take a breath and have more dynamics to it. But yeah, sometimes too much is too much.
Too much is too much. So I wanted to bring Kristin on because she's just been in the industry for so long. And I have a lot of young artists, either aerialists, dancers, some actors listening.
Awesome.
And like, if we can try to help them navigate, I like to think that I kind of know what's going on, even though I'm not there anymore. But you are certainly there and you live there. And I know that you're not in the everyday. It's not like you're at the dance studios every weekend, you know, taking dance class, because we're kind of past that point in our careers. But so Kristin is also like, she's a mom. She's a mom of twins. How old are they now?
11.
11. Oh my God.
You're graduating from elementary school this year.
Wow. So crazy. So crazy. And let's get like an update on like where you're at in your life, like today.
Today, I am working actively in creative direction as well. And I just finished a course actually by another person who we all grew up, well, you and I grew up dancing next to, Tiana Brown, who's now Tiana Gandelman. And she was the creative director. She was working under Brian Friedman for America's Got Talent and for X Factor and different shows. And then she got an opportunity to work on The Masked Singer. And then she was able to take over as the creative director. And so she's offered up this amazing course where she's teaching what she knows about being a creative director, because it's kind of ambiguous. A lot of people don't understand what a creative director is. So this past fall, I took her course because I have done a lot of creative director things as a choreographer. You know, you always end up doing other roles, you know, chiming in about staging and then props and costuming and all that. And that's what a creative director does. And so I took her course and I'm actively moving in that world. So I have I don't want to give it away yet, but another colleague and I are actually going to do an entire show top to bottom. We just sold them our idea of how we want the whole scenic and staging to look, and they love it. And so we're like, okay, now here's our budget. And then we're going to be doing the script from top to bottom, the LED screens, all of that. So that's really exciting. But then, yeah, it's a lot, but in a fun, good way. And then in the quiet parts, like in between these big gigs, that's where I'm sitting, which I also want to talk about longevity of a career with dancers, because as we all know, it's project based. So it's not like you get a gig and you're in it forever. So you also have to have those other streams of income and creativity to continue to generate income when you don't have those projects. And also just have a creative outlet, because sometimes when dance, which is our love, becomes a business, or acting or whatever that may be for you, sometimes you start to lose the love for it, because you're always like, it's always about like getting that check and doing this and getting, you know, and so the business part can kind of take the love out of it. So in my quiet season, you know, when I'm in between gigs, I started thinking, what can I offer up? And what kind of dance class can I teach at my older age that I want to continue to teach? So that's why I'm offering up this baby wearing dance class now. I'm also in the midst of speaking with a studio to start a class that is 35 plus. So you can't even come in if you're younger than 35. And so I'm also going to incorporate strength training, because a lot of research is coming out that says as you age, you lose bone density. And so I'm now also getting my group class instructor certification, so I have a little bit more of that knowledge to offer people. So that's more, and then I'm momming it out and doing all the things too.
Yeah,
So
always busy and always hustling. I feel like no matter where I meet you in life, it's kind of like this is the way. This is the life that we live.
that's the life of an artist. Yeah. I feel like there's projects, but not only the ones that people will hire you for, but the ones we generate ourselves. Cause that's just, I feel like as artists, we always want to give birth to something, right? It's like it speaks through us and it needs to get out. And so those are the things that I've been actively working on right now.
So really quick, because when we dive into the dance industry, I feel like we're going to go into a rabbit hole and we're not going to come out to the end. So at the top, the baby wearing. So to the audience, it's like it's exactly what it sounds like. You're wearing your baby in a harness,
Yeah.
and you're taking a dance class at the same time. I mean, it's genius because where are you going to put your baby to go take a dance class?
Right. And I don't want it to just be like a baby mommy and me class. I want this to be for the moms to be able to have community. This is the only other people who really know what you're going through are the other women at the same period of life. And so I want it to be like community, but also get a good sweat on. And also it's good bonding with your baby too. So it's like a win-win-win. So yeah, I'm excited to offer that up for everyone. For everyone, for the moms.
What's the style? Are you doing just Kristin hip hop?
And again, you're holding, however many pounds your baby is at that moment. Because honestly, you can't wear a baby in the baby carrier until they can hold their head up. So like at least 6 months old. So it's like usually like 6 months to 10 or 12 if you're lucky. Because when your kids start getting active, they don't want to be in that thing again. So it's like a sweet spot that you have a good 6 months of your motherhood journey where you can do this. So it's more like, I don't want to say line dancing, but I'm getting where it's easy enough because we got enough we're doing, right?
Yeah.
So it's not something that you're really challenged to do. So I will start with a warm up with everyone facing, in a circle, and then I'm going to do across the floor as well.
Oh, nice.
And just have some fun with that. And then I'll do some easier to follow along different routines. And so maybe I'll do some for like a couple weeks at a time so that you can come back and be like, oh, I know this. And then you can feel more confident. So it's also building confidence as well as giving you a good workout and community. So
do you still love making up 8 counts?
Not really. Sometimes I'll hear a song and I will create the best choreography in my car and it'll come in through me and then leave. And I'm just like, oh, I'll remember this. And then I don't. But so there's some stuff that will speak to me. But another thing I've been doing, which I can't believe I forgot to talk about, I also coach singers. And so I honestly, even though I came up as a dancer and I love dancing, I get the most joy, I think, out of pulling out the potential of a performer on stage. And so it's not just teaching you dance steps, because not everyone wants to have dance pop music. It's teaching you how to be authentic and confident. So I've just started like a month and a half ago, a TikTok channel where I'm doing performance reviews of what I think are some of the top performances and why. And I'm tying into like, look what they're doing here. Look how they're controlling the crowd. Look how they're authentically doing this, that, and the other. So I've been offering that up as well. And that's been a lot of fun.
I've been seeing those. I love when my colleagues decide to really up their game, here and there, in spurts on Instagram. I really enjoy it. So if you ever feel like no one's watching, don't feel that way. I don't know if you feel that way, but for everybody.
Thank you. No, and what's interesting too is Instagram's been a little bit of a gatekeeper with some of the copyright stuff. So TikTok is kind of allowing more stuff to play. So yeah, I'll forward you my handle because it's Kristin.Denehy. But yeah, some of the ones, I have one that I did of Prince, and it has like a couple 100,000 views on it.
Nice.
People are really enjoying hearing this perspective and then also chiming in about what they love about each artist. So it's a fun community and back and forth with people.
Well, listeners, if you haven't already figured it out, a lot of the artist entrepreneur is whether or not work is coming at you, you can create most of it, a lot of it on your own. And a lot of times you can just take the work that you've created on your own and then sell that work. Sometimes. Okay. Yeah. So Kristin, for the young artists, if they are dancers and they have not yet moved to LA and they want to be a dancer. And I'm not talking ballet, modern company. I'm talking about like an LA dancer, pretty much.
Commercial dancer,
Commercial
as we
dancer.
call it. Yeah.
What would you say their steps should be?
Well, I can give you the steps that I took because I was not that kind of dancer. My dream was to dance on tour for singers, and I ended up going to college, and not for performing arts, but just to get a regular degree, right?
Air quotes, yeah.
Which was communications. But I went to Fordham University in New York, and there I was able to get in with MTV at the time, who was doing a show called The Grind. So I was able to do that. And then I also was able to become a Nick City dancer my senior year of college. And we're going into the championship. We just won.
Oh,
Yeah, they just won last night, so that was exciting. So that I was able to get my feet wet and start performing at a semi-professional level in front of a huge audience. But when I was on The Grind, they happened to do a couple little hey, let's follow Kristin for the day, and they would highlight different dancers. And the day that they followed me at school and they followed me performing for the Knicks. And then the person who was the co-host of the show that day was the iconic Tina Landon. And, I just wanted to dance for Janet. That was going to be my end all be all. So when she showed up as the co-host on the day that I was also going to be interviewed and showed my package, I was like, oh my God, Tina Landon's here. Oh my God. And so what was so cool, she was so down to earth and so cool. And then she also ended up, we had these workout videos that also were a spin-off of The Grind. And she co-hosted one of those. So then we got to know each other more. And I told her how I wanted to move out to LA because it was kind of like there weren't a lot of opportunities at the time in New York for commercial dancers. And so it was like, if you want to do Broadway, cool, you can stay there, or musical theater. But I didn't. And so there was an agency at the time called Bobby Ball, and they came out to New York they were going to start the bicoastal thing, which now is pretty common with agencies, but they were the first back in the mid 90s. And I told them what I wanted to do, and they're like, you need to move to LA. And I was like, okay, done. And I didn't do it the next day, but it took me maybe 7 or 8 months where I started figuring it out. And I happened to do a job that actually went to Japan, and there were some women from LA and some from New York, and we ended up doing this job. It was an industrial for a brand over there. And then I met a girl who we said we would, become roommates. And so I got it all together and then, took a one-way flight out to LA and had my agency, because luckily, I forgot to say this part, Tina Landon was also repped at that agency. And she's like, yeah, you can say that I referred you. And I was like, oh my God, and I was so green and had such little experience. So I felt extremely lucky that she was so kind to back me up and be like, yep, I vouch for her.
So what year did you move to LA? Because I've been trying to remember this.
97.
Compared to me.
1997.
Oh, okay. So I told Misha the wrong information because I was like, yeah, Kristin was only there a year before me. No, that's not true. It was 3 years. I just talked to Misha Lee, by the way.
Yay.
And I told her the next time I'm there, I'm going to try my hardest to round up you and her for a lunch.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Or a drink. Yeah, that's going to be a goal.
Yeah.
Or both, or all of it. Or all of it. So you actually came to LA with some stuff in your pocket. You had done some gigs already. You were working already.
I was able to, while I was still in New York, I also was able to do a Prince video. And again, what was so cool is they needed 50 dancers, I think. We filmed it at Paisley Park. We were all flown to Minneapolis.
Wow.
I mean, I was so green. And so this was my first job. And it was Tina Landon and Jamie King who were choreographing it. And it was for the song Betcha by Golly Wow. This is when Prince was the artist with no name. And we were told wear makeup and make sure if you see him, do not talk to him. And they were it was just so mythical. And it was so you didn't know what to do. And then there were 35 dancers from LA. And I was just starstruck by the dancers and the talent in that room. And so I was able to do that job. So I had a couple things under my belt, but when I landed in LA, I was still so green, and I wasn't one of the people that landed and was able to start booking. It took me 2 years of getting my feet wet and getting people familiar with me, which I would love to talk about and share with the younger
yes.
performers, like what all that means. But I had like multiple part-time jobs, and there were many times where I was like, do I give up now? What do I do? And leaving auditions that I thought I did well in and not getting it, and then getting frustrated and crying and when is it gonna happen? Everyone has a different journey to get there. So if it takes you a little bit longer, it's okay. Nobody has the same route at all. But yeah, I can tell you some of my mistakes and things that I learned along the way.
Oh yeah, I'm here for it. Give it to us.
Well, like I said, and I didn't have a lot of training. I did some ballet and jazz when I was younger, but by the time I got to high school, I was kind of burnt out of taking classes, and I quit. And I wanted to be a cheerleader. I wanted to play softball. And then there was a thing back then where there were under 21 nightclubs. So you could be like age 14 to 20, and it was open on certain like holiday weekends. And it was like open from 7:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. So your parents would drop you off. And I'd go in there and I would dance my heart out, but then I would also study the good dancers. And I would literally go in the circle and mimic them and pick up the moves they were doing. And I would, back then we had like these video cassette things. I would record videos, from our amazing, the Jacksons and Madonna and everybody, and learn, and, in living color, all of that stuff. And that's how I was really like self-taught. So I didn't get to come up through the competition world and learn a lot of the stuff that I wish I'd learned. So I remember going to an audition for a commercial, like in my first year. And I remember being so excited to get the call back, but I took dance so seriously. And I was just like, let me show you how I can dance. And I didn't understand that there was an acting component and that commercials, like you have to understand what you're going in for. And a commercial does not want you dancing in a serious music video. And my fate, I just wasn't ready and didn't understand how to change it up and be friendly and funny. And I don't remember exactly what it was for, but I didn't end up booking it. But I kind of knew in that moment, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm understanding. So one thing I think is really essential for a dancer when you step in the room, before you step in the room, actually, when your agent gives you the breakdown of what's going to happen, it's usually over email these days. They'll give you, and I wrote down like all of these notes for everyone. They'll give you the location, they'll give you the dates. So you have to know whether or not you can make these dates work, and they'll sometimes give you wardrobe direction. They'll give you the vibe of the project. They'll give you the singer's name or the project name, the company. And so do your research and understand who you're auditioning for. Because as dancers, we support the product or the artist. And so go in knowing what you are auditioning for so that you can be the best representation and they can actually see you in that product or performance. And it took me a while to understand that. I was like, oh, okay, right, noted, okay. So that was one learning experience for sure.
You know what? One mistake I made all the time that I never actually figured out so much for myself is the whole and I think at the end, I wasn't I didn't really understand the commercial, when you go in and you say your name and you look right, you look left, the slate. Yeah. I was not booking a lot of commercials, and I feel like, I don't know if my look was just not commercial enough, or if there's something I didn't understand about it, or there's something about my makeup that I wasn't doing right. What did you learn after all those years of slating?
After definitely not getting that job, I was like, okay, Kristin, smile. Don't take it so damn seriously, or at least not for that project. If for a singer on tour or on an award show, cool. But so I made sure that, I brought the smile and my cheeriest self if it made sense for the project. But then there's times when you just feel crazy and you don't have a great audition. You're not always going to have the best audition because we all have different days where we feel more like ourselves, less like ourselves. So you also have to try to understand it's a numbers game, and you have no idea why someone does or does not pick you. There's 15 different people in the room, and if you look like their cousin they don't like, they might not hire you. Has nothing to do with who you are, even though it does affect you. So it's also building up that understanding and kind of the resilience of okay, it's a numbers game. What can I learn from this? Like my mistake with that commercial audition. how can I be better? How can I, approach that next time? But then sometimes it's just out of your hands, and there's nothing you could have done better to get the job or not,
Okay. What process did you go? What was your journey on finding your look that worked?
Ooh. Well, my natural hair color is blonde.
Yeah, always has been, and I've never seen it.
Yeah.
By the way,
now that I've gone red, it's kind of like, now this is who I am, so I can't not.
Yeah, so she's a redhead. She's like the woman looking at me, I've always seen. I've never seen her with her natural hair color. So what was the process of finding that? Because it made you stand out like crazy.
It did, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I'm a white girl who wanted to primarily be in more like hip hop type things, and so I was like, I feel like I look a little too Caucasian for these different auditions. I'm like, I don't feel like I have a quote unquote look. And I don't know that I was actively trying to figure it out, but there was a job I ended up doing, either some type of bar mitzvah or one of those party companies. And we had to put on costumes. And one day I put on a red wig, and I was like, oh my God, I think this is it.
Yeah.
And so then pretty soon after that, I dyed my hair. So I think it was within the first year of me being here. I just felt like as I was auditioning, I wasn't quite having a look that stood out from myself. And there's definitely blondes who did great as a blonde, but I just felt like I wasn't really, I don't know, being who I wanted to be or how I wanted to represent myself. So I felt like the red hair did really work for me. Yeah.
Did you feel that success like right away? Like you colored your hair and you feel like things started turning?
No, I feel like it was a combination of a lot of things. I feel like it was continuing to go to auditions. People don't want to hire strangers. They want to know something about, like, you can be the most talented dancer in the room, but if they don't know your background, or if you're going to be dependable, or if you're going to be a good person who shows up on time, they may not want to take that chance. They want to work with people they know they can count on. And so I think it was also a matter of me continuing to go to auditions, me starting to put myself out there in different showcases. Like I was starting to do the choreographers carnival, and I was like, okay, I'll be in your piece. I'll start doing all that. And just, getting my feet wet and getting people used to, I think it all kind of converged around the same time. And, it was also me. There was a part where I was so frustrated it was taking so long that I was really like, ooh, I think I'm good. I don't know if I want to do this anymore, and then I kind of also took the stranglehold of my wants, like I need this, and I kind of let loose, and I was like, okay, it's going to happen or not. And I'm just going to take all this pressure off myself, because I was miserable from not booking as quickly as I wanted to. And it seemed like all of those things combined, like people now noticing me, people familiar with me, people starting to be able to vouch for me, and me also like being like, okay, let me just show up, as opposed to be so not nervous or just like stressed about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like the overarching thing is you need to be able to authentically, either, when I say authentically, I mean because of the million things that you're doing as a dancer, rise to the top of the pile. You have to be able to rise to the top of the pile of every class, of every audition, of the industry as a whole, and then you're booking. And
like you said, also taking class. That's another way to be seen and get familiar with the people in the business, is to be up in their class. Plus, you'll learn the styles of the people who are most likely the ones choreographing the bigger gigs as well.
Yeah, I feel like for myself and then the other dancers that I'm watching, some of the dancers that I've like helped coach over the time, and now they're in it right now. Like I see them and I'm like, wow, you're in your sweet spot now. Like I can tell, like they are seasoned now, and they've figured it out, and they went through the meat grinder, and you can see why they've risen to the top. And so all the questioning of why am I not rising to the top, it's kind of like those questions get answered kind of all at once, because you've done the 100 things or however many things you need to do to get there. Kristin, it's so crazy that our lives are, that our relationship is this long, that I forget about Taylor Swift sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, Kristin was the choreographer on the Taylor Swift tour where I fell on my ankle and like completely shattered my leg in half. And it's been long enough that like I forget about. I mean, it's like I think about that whole time, and it was so heartbreaking to me, and I just didn't think I was going to survive it emotionally. And then look, however many years later, it's like I'm talking to you and we forget to talk about it. It's amazing how the world is.
That was 15 years ago already.
I know.
It's crazy.
Bananas. I'm talking about trust. Like, Kristin hired me and a handful of other people for this tour. And I don't know if I've ever asked you, but I'm sure that was so much pressure from your end that you were receiving, or that you put on yourself. Either way.
All of the above. And it was the first time that her camp was hiring people from Los Angeles. And they were because they were just like, she had dancers on the previous tour. And how I got involved was I did an ABC dance reality show that was a spin-off from Bruno and Kerry from Dancing with the Stars. They did this little sideshow called Dance War. And it was different. I had one team, and then there was another team, and then they competed, but they were singing and dancing. So they were performing and doing all this stuff. And a couple of dancers who were on my team were from Nashville, and they ended up dancing for her the prior tour. And she wanted to get someone else, bring someone fresh in for choreography. So I came in just to like do a section of a song, and then they liked it so much they're like, can you stay another day and just kind of redo this song? So I was like, okay. And then it came around where then the Speak Now tour was coming up, and they were like, okay, we also want to hire Los Angeles dancers. And so there was a lot of pressure on just like showing up and showing their camp what professional dancers, I mean, not that Nashville's not, but it's such a smaller community that it's like the minor leagues compared to the major leagues, to be honest. And it's changed now and grown a lot. Nashville's much bigger in what they represent. But back then it was like, okay, now we are the A team coming in, and we have to show them what that means and show up as professionals and, doing all of the A game stuff. And so there was a lot of pressure with that, I think, because they were, very tight knit, like, they were starting to open up their camp to everyone else. And so there were some growing pains, but I think overall, we proved ourselves. And
you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy to me. I'm just like, oh yeah, Taylor Swift.
Yeah. And that was her arena tour you guys did. Those were the first couple spot dates she did in stadiums. Like, now she only does stadiums, but you guys just did a few stadium dates that tour. It's crazy.
I mean, who knew she could get that famous? I mean, I didn't know.
I mean, I knew she was. Yeah, I knew she had something in her, but yeah, I mean,
she's a rocket ship.
She did her thing. Yeah.
So let's bring it to today. So you're in LA, so you can kind of feel things. What are the biggest differences between the way it was for us and the way it is now? Maybe the pros and cons, and how young artists can navigate what is in front of them today.
Well, I think, to me, what I understand a major difference to be is that you also not only have to be trained and be like at the top of your game as an athlete, but now you need a social media presence. And we didn't have to do any of that. We had to train and be hireable in other characteristics. Hold on,
Kristin. Look at this one. Hi. I told you I had to do a podcast.
Hi.
Okay. I know. Did you feel like I left you? I told you.
Oh, did you expect your mommy to be there when you woke up? Yeah.
She was mad at me when she walked in. She was like, ah. Hey, can I move this so I can hear you? Okay. All right. You just lay down here. So, Kristin, sorry, pick up where you left off.
I would say that now, instead of just a resume and training, you also need to have your social media presence. Like, that's your new resume. That's kind of your calling card. And that's, to me, because I haven't had to do that in my career as a dancer, that just seems like something that feels a little bit harder than the way that we had it. But now I also think that the people who are the younger generations, that's also how they came up. So it kind of feels second nature as well. So just make sure that your social media presence and how you represent yourself online is kind of how we would show up with our resumes and headshots. So that's just where that's switched. But if we can get into like the characteristics of what will make you hireable, I think that never changes. So that's definitely something that we can jump into.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Like, what's your take on that?
Like I was saying before, like when your agent gives you the call to come to the audition, make sure you read all of the information. Make sure you respond to your agent in a very timely manner, because that is essential. And you want to make sure, because we're on our phones all the time, so you have all of this here, and so make sure you respond. You let them know whether you can and cannot do the job or make it. Another thing that we do as dancers is if you say you're going on vacation with your family or you book a different job, there's also called booking out. So you call your agent and you let them know these are work dates that I cannot do. So always stay up and in great communication with your agent so that they can also service you the best, because when they're reaching out for you, they think you can book this job. So they'll get frustrated if you aren't open with them and up to date with them. So make sure you're always on your P's and Q's with that. Then when you arrive to the audition, oh, and Kerry, we can talk about this for a moment. A lot of times they don't give you a lot of wardrobe direction. They'll be like, body conscious. And it's like,
that can mean so many things.
And a lot of times we call each other as dancers and be like, what are you wearing? What should we wear? I don't know. What does body conscious mean? To me, what it mostly means is like all of us are different shapes and sizes. I would say wear stuff that makes you feel confident and that you feel good in and that you can dance in. And then you'll walk into the room confident. When you are in the audition, this is what the choreographer is going through. And even when you book the job as well. Young dancers sometimes think choreographers are just focused on the movement. But in reality, this is what choreographers are juggling in their minds. And in even like how they would be hiring you if we're at the audition process, they have already been dealing with, say if it's for a singer, what the artist's comfort level is, what their management team expects of you and the dancers and what to create. Is this going to be, what kind of storytelling? How will this movement translate on screen? If it's going to be on screen or stage, camera angles, lighting, staging, etc. And so the choreographer has much more than just steps to teach. So if you can walk in being flexible, meaning not just in your body, but like with how they're going to direct you through the rehearsal process, if you can become adaptable, if you're showing up on time. And also a lot of times jobs I've worked on where I've been part of the production as opposed to just the choreographer, they will make everybody RSVP. Like, okay, here's the new time for tomorrow's rehearsal. Respond as soon as possible. Be in great communication with your choreographers as well. Be solution oriented. A lot of times, and we've had this happen with all types of choreographers, or even if you guys are doing performances in your dance companies, it'll be like version A. Okay, that doesn't quite work. Let's try version B. Okay, that works. Okay, but now I'm going to work with the other group of people. So it's like, as somebody who is going to have a long career, it's somebody who is solution oriented, someone who is flexible, someone, say if I'm going to work with group A and I'm like, okay, guys, here's your pot of 4. I'm going to have you guys do these 4 8s. I'm going to now work with these guys. Then the group here, you guys should all be working together to work through it and be detail oriented and continue working on it. Don't be on your phones in rehearsal. Make sure that you are present and you are there. Just remember, have your intention be that you are there to support the product or the artist. And that you're dependable, you're present, you're emotionally intelligent, you're aware of the room, you're prepared. And this comes even with like, make sure you get in good sleep and you're hydrated and you come into rehearsal early enough to stretch. When we're younger, sometimes we're like, stretch side to side. You're like, I'm good. Okay, let's go. And then
no, not anymore.
No. And if you can develop a routine where you're really doing a good job at warming up properly, you'll have less injuries and you'll have a longer career. So it's really treating it like a business and your body like you are the athlete that you are. Like, have that discipline within your programming for yourself as well when you're showing up.
you made me think when we were on that job with you, Asia, for so many years. Like I was dancing on this job and Kristin was like my choreographer for so many years. And there was a core 6 of us girls who were always on it together. We're all the same height pretty much. We all fit the same costume. And we got to the point where Kristin would give us the choreography and Tammy Toe is the best at leading us. She'd be like, is your right thumb an inch away from your forehead or 2 inches from, like we would together clean it up so that we were dancing as a group.
And you always want that group mentality. And what I loved and appreciated about that was that I didn't have time to go in and clean it the way I wanted to because I had such a heavy workload that I was like pooping out the choreography and moving on. And then sometimes we would get the track then and the arrangement would be flopped. So I'm like, guys, just kidding. Remember how we went from, verse to chorus? Now it's chorus, verse, and then bridge. And so I was, like I said, with choreographers and all the things we're juggling, there's so much else going on. So if dancers can be, like I said, part of the solution, cleaning yourselves, working together as a team, that speaks volumes. And that's why you guys continued to work with me for years, because I could count on you and you guys were game and you understood what was involved and what was going to be asked of you. And you guys showed up with a smile on your face and we would have so much fun too.
Oh, we had so much fun on that job together.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Okay, Kristin, you've toured in your life. Do you have any fun tour stories to share with us? Give me 1 or 2 of them.
Oh God. Wow.
Give me something fun.
Oh, geez.
And something that some of these young people can learn from as well.
Oh crap!
It's okay. We can edit around.
I mean, there's some things that happen in Vegas stay in Vegas, so I'm not going to talk about it. But when I brought up the first gig I did with Prince, so we were in Paisley Park, and the rehearsal studio was down below, like on the first floor, I believe, and then we were each going up, either a dancer at a time or a couple people at a time, to the wardrobe unit or whatever on the second floor, the wardrobe room. And so I remember getting off the elevator and walking down the hallway, and who turns the corner and starts walking down the hall but Prince himself. And it's just me and Prince walking, and I'm getting all this stuff was like, don't look at him in the eye. And I'm freaking out. And this man with this incredibly powerful presence just walks by me. And I remember that I dreamt about him for probably like 2 or 3 days after that, because it was such a powerful, impressionable moment. But then this man, like if you see interviews about him, he's a man of very few words, but an absolute genius. And after I think we shot for 2 or 3 days, and afterwards he threw a party for us. And so in like the nightclub or like the place where he would put on shows, we were able to have like a little party there, kind of like a nightclub thing. But then he showed up, and then there were a bunch of dancers who just started like dancing as if they were auditioning for him. And it was funny because I'm also like an introverted dancer. I'll be an extrovert when I need to be, but my nature is not to show out all the time. And what's interesting is that he actually did hire a bunch of those dancers that started like dancing their faces off, and because he was about to go do another little side tour with his wife Maite at the time. But then the next day, underneath our hotel room doors, they each gave us this card with their picture on it, and then said thank you, and gave us a $50 bill. And it was just like really kind and thoughtful, and like a huge moment as a young dancer. Like, holy crap, I got to dance for that man.
Kristin, okay, one last one last question, and I would love to have you back for like whenever this project that you're talking about gets off the ground.
Oh yeah,
let's do a recap because I want to hear about it. But okay. any last piece of advice for dancers, and with the thought of like building confidence and how in what ways can you get this? Because even I have this, I go in and out of confidence my entire career, Same. Like it'll go up, it'll go down. When I'm down, I don't know what it feels like to have a lot of it. It's hard to be consistent with that your whole life. I mean, sometimes I think I'm the most insecure performer in the world, and the other times I feel like I'm on top of the world,
Oh, and that's the manic part of our business and who we are as artists. And I feel the same way. And so it's kind of getting to the acceptance that that's part of the ride. There's this thing I saw online where it talked about like the creative experience and it said like, oh, this is amazing. This is so exciting. And then it's like, this is crap. This is hard. I am crap. This, and then it like, then it's at the squiggly line at the bottom, it's like, this is amazing, and it's like that whole creative process. And also just understanding that, again, this is project based and it's like feast or famine. And so have your identity outside of dance as well. Like continue to have those relationships and friendships and hobbies and things to keep you whole. So that in those downtimes, you're not so, dropping off a cliff and like, holy crap, nothing's happening. Always do your best to have a full life outside of dance, because there does become pressure about money and validation and survival when it becomes our business. But just remind yourself that this is cyclical, it's normal, and that work will come again. And yeah, continue to find outlets that give you joy and play and community. Because it's a real blessing to be an artist and to be able to perform. I always say that when you're on stage, you get this equal share of energy, like you're giving out something to somebody else, but the joy or however you move the audience is the payoff that you get at the same time. So I feel like it's such a special, beautiful connection we have, an exchange of energy that we get to have with people as artists.
Oh, I thank you for your time, Kristin. I really love catching up. I love that I have an excuse to like call you up for an hour and gab.
I'm glad we were able to do it for sure.
Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find Amanda Ritchie at Grounded in Flight on Instagram and at Noah Doc on Instagram, as well as Red Flags app. And me, Kerry Wee, you can find at wrapyourheadaroundsilks.com. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We have so much more coming at you, including guests that are in this art world, that are blazing their way through new businesses, and just more banter from us. Thank you for listening. This is The Artist Entrepreneur.